series begins with an unsettling scene. An unfamiliar man fixated on a young girl across a subway carriage, his stare lingering long enough to feel wrong. The moment passes, and the story shifts to its main arena Lockmill Capital, a London based pension investment firm. Inside the office, we're introduced to Zara, one of the firm's employees, who has stepped away from her desk after suffering a sudden nosebleed. As she cleans herself up in the restroom, she receives a call from reception telling her that the company's new intern has arrived. The intern is Myrtle Clark. Zara returns to the floor, greets Myrtle, and begins walking her through the office, explaining how things work and guiding her to her assigned workstation. At Myrtle's desk, we meet Luke, another member of the trade processing team and one of Zara's colleagues. While this ordinary office routine plays out, the man from the subway, along with several other suspicious figures shown earlier in different locations, converges and makes his way toward the Lockmill Capitol building. The tone shifts abruptly when the group gains access to the building and rides up to the 27th floor, where Zara, Luke, and the rest of the staff are working. Armed and organized, they storm the trading floor, ordering everyone to stay still and hand over their phones. Panic spreads as a few people are hurt, though most employees comply, terrified and unsure of what's coming next. The man leading the group then focuses on the trade processing department, ordering those employees to stand. Zara and Luke are singled out, and because of their system access, they're forced to escort him to their desks. Once there, Luke is instructed to plug in a flash drive containing 6 trading accounts and load them into the system. As the data appears on his screen, Luke realizes the staggering truth. The accounts hold more than £4 billion. It becomes clear that the attackers aren't after cash in a vault, but pension funds belonging to ordinary people. Under constant threat, Zara and Luke carry out the commands, fully aware of the scale of the crime unfolding around them. After the accounts are uploaded, 3 members of the investment team are coerced into approving the trades, and with her forced authorization, the transactions are finalized and sent to a custodian bank. The bank soon calls to verify the transfers. Following instructions, Zara and Luke confirm that the trades are legitimate and urge the bank to release the funds immediately. For a moment, the operation works. The thieves secure the money and prepare to leave. Their escape is rushed when an employee manages to alert someone in a neighboring building that a hostage situation is in progress. Police units, led by DCI Reese, arrive shortly after, locking down the area and beginning the investigation into the unprecedented breach. Reese later speaks with Zara privately, explaining that anyone who had direct contact with the attackers will be questioned to help identify them. The interview is interrupted when Zara suffers yet another nosebleed. She steps into a bathroom stall to deal with it, where she overhears 2 co-workers quietly discussing the incident. They're convinced the robbery couldn't have happened without help from someone on the inside. As their voices trail off, Zara tilts her head upward and smiles, alone in the stall. Next morning, we see Zara jolting awake in her bedroom. She immediately checks her bank balance and freezes when she sees an unexpected deposit of £5 million. Stunned, she quickly retrieves an external storage device, transfers the money off her account, seals the device inside a plastic bag, and hides it behind her refrigerator before leaving for work, as if nothing has changed. At the police station, DCI Reese is introduced to Darren Yoshida, a financial crimes specialist brought in to assist with the investigation. Meanwhile, back at Lockmill Capital, Zara quietly tells Luke about the massive sum that appeared in her account. Luke is shocked by the amount, but not by the fact that she was paid at all. Their exchange reveals that they were complicit in the heist to some degree, though the payout is far larger than they were led to expect. Luke begins to spiral, overwhelmed by fear. Zara urges him to stick to the instructions they were given, move the money to an external device, and shut down the account completely, leaving no trail behind. Luke, however, talks about going to the police. Zara shuts that idea down immediately, warning him that confession would either land them in prison for life or get them killed. Faced with that reality, Luke backs off. Soon after, he's summoned for questioning by Reese and Darren. During the interview, Luke struggles to keep himself together, answering carefully and avoiding anything that could expose him or Zara. Reese tries to reassure him, insisting that the police will protect him if he remembers anything else about the robbery. Luke offers nothing. Later, Lockmill Capital organizes a trauma support meeting for staff, but instead of calming Luke, it only deepens his anxiety and paranoia. Elsewhere, Reese challenges Superintendent Duff Nichols, criticizing the delayed involvement of a financial investigator and pointing out that the custodian bank still hasn't supplied records showing where the £4 billion ended up. Duff appears dismissive, showing little urgency. The episode then shifts to Zara and Luke leaving work together. Before parting ways, Zara again tells Luke to follow their plan and stay silent. Back at the station, Darren informs Reese that the custodian bank has finally traced the transfer. The money was routed to a private bank overseas. Recovering it now becomes the next challenge, assuming it hasn't already vanished. Zara returns home to retrieve the external device, stops briefly at a corner shop, and then heads to her mother's house. After a short visit, she hides the device inside a box and conceals it beneath the floorboards. She later boards a bus to head back, but her journey is interrupted when Luke calls in a panic. He's moved the money but has no idea where to stash it. Zara tells him she's coming to help. Unbeknownst to them, two of the thieves are parked outside Luke's place, listening in. The group's leader decides Luke has become a serious risk and orders his men to eliminate him. When Luke calls Reese and asks him to come over to talk, the thieves hear that too, but believe they still have time to act first. Zara arrives at the apartment complex just as Luke hears a knock at his door. Peering through the peephole, he sees a man in a motorcycle helmet and immediately senses danger. He hides as the men force their way inside and search the apartment. Luke attacks one of them with a screwdriver, then makes a desperate run for it, but is quickly caught. One attacker knocks him out with a heavy blow, while another injects him with an unknown substance. They drag him outside and load him into their car, and one man goes back inside to interfere with the building's security system. Zara witnesses the abduction from her hiding place. After the thieves leave, she sneaks out, grabs the discarded vial containing the mysterious substance, and escapes through a window. Reese arrives moments later and sees her drop to the ground. Meanwhile, Luke's shown unconscious in the back seat of the thieves' car. Next, Reese presses Zara about why she was at Luke's apartment. Zara quickly invents a shaky explanation, claiming she panicked after seeing blood and fled. She carefully avoids mentioning the vial she picked up. Reese senses she's withholding something, but there's nothing concrete he can grab onto. Later at Luke's flat, Ellie questions Reese about where he disappeared to that night. The audience already knows he was gambling at an illegal den, but he keeps that to himself. Instead, his suspicion hardens and his focus narrows even further onto Zara, whom he now strongly believes played a role in the robbery. It's revealed that Reese is in serious trouble himself. He owes nearly £100,000 to dangerous people, and the man holding his debt is preparing to pass it on to even more ruthless figures. If Reese can't find the money soon, he's unlikely to walk away unscathed. Flashbacks fill in more of Zara and Luke's thinking before the heist. Both had grown bitter watching Lockmill executives rake in enormous profits while employees like them struggled. Luke, in particular, had been approached online during a Call of Duty session by strangers offering £100,000 just to help them get access to the building. Luke was the one who pulled Zara into the scheme, flattering her and dangling the promise of a life-changing payout. While the money was tempting, the moment that truly pushed Zara over the edge was being passed over for a promotion she believed she had earned. Back in the present, Reese brings another figure into the investigation, Intelligence Officer Sam Fitch. Fitch is experienced, sharp, and immediately positioned as the main operative in the field. Zara's caution, however, quickly proves lacking. She makes the disastrous decision to use her personal Google account and YouTube to look up how to remove a bloody fingerprint. While she's leaving digital breadcrumbs at home, Darren Yoshida continues his quiet, methodical review of Lockmill employees. So far, nothing openly suspicious emerges. Darren believes resentment towards senior management could be the missing motive. Members of the investment committee earn around £1 million a year before bonuses, while floor employees scrape by on 30 to 40Ks. That imbalance, he argues, is more than enough to breed cooperation with criminals. He proposes discreetly checking offshore accounts through unofficial means. It's legally questionable and likely unusable in court, but Reese authorizes him to proceed anyway. On her way home, Zara is suddenly confronted by Sam Fitch and Ellie Lloyd. Caught off guard, she struggles to deflect their questions. Inside her flat, incriminating evidence is scattered across the dining area, including her laptop still open on YouTube. She hurriedly hides everything before letting them in. During the interview, Zara tries to stay composed, but Fitch notices the contents of her open bag: sellotape, hydrogen peroxide, and other suspicious items. Outside afterward, Fitch tells Ellie that Zara isn't their main priority. He quietly overrides Reese's interest in her and redirects attention elsewhere. Once they leave, Zara immediately resumes her attempt to lift the fingerprint. Meanwhile, Reese visits Zara's mother, a psychiatric nurse. She doesn't hesitate to paint an unflattering picture of her daughter, describing her as clever, frustrated, and dangerous when cornered. At the same time, she shields Zara just enough to keep leverage for herself, claiming she hasn't seen her in months. After Reese leaves, Darren returns with a breakthrough. The stolen money has passed through an account named Gould Simmons, a defense contractor. It appears to be a shell or slush account, likely used as a temporary stop to disguise further transfers. Reese considers leaking the information, while Darren suspects intelligence services were aware of this operation long before the police caught on. Tensions rise further as Ellie voices her concern that Fitch is actively undermining their investigation. She and Reese debate how to handle the growing interference. Reese confronts the superintendent, accusing him of deliberately setting the team up to fail. The truth is worse. The superintendent is being pressured himself and urges Reese to back off. He threatens Reese with exposure of his gambling debts, warning that a scandal would end his career. A flashback shows Zara meeting the thieves and identifying their base of operations. In present, she breaks into their office and deliberately places the bloody vial on a table, making sure the cameras capture it. One of the thieves catches her in the act, forcing her to flee. She barely escapes, running through the streets before seeking refuge at her mother's house. There, her mother confronts her about the stolen money, demanding the cold wallet in exchange for silence. She asks for £1 million. Zara refuses, knowing her mother would ruin them both. When Zara finally returns home, she senses something is wrong. Flashlights cut through the darkness. People are inside her house. Reese pulls up and she jumps into his car, unloading everything she's tried to do, including her failed attempt to bargain with the thieves. Reese then delivers the final blow. It isn't just criminals after her anymore. MI5 is coming for her. Once they're confident they haven't been followed, Reese explains that he had attempted to bug Zara's flat, only for the request to be blocked. That alone convinced him she was either already working with MI5 or had drawn their attention as someone dangerous. Zara finally stops pretending and admits the truth. She helped the thieves, and legally she's just as guilty as they are. Rather than turning on her, Reese argues that they share the same enemies. If they work together to expose the people behind the robbery and recover the money, he's confident she won't end up in prison. Zara resists at first, but Reese lays out how isolated she really is and why cooperation is her only realistic way out. Reese is convinced the heist didn't start on the trading floor. He believes someone on Lockmill's investment committee was involved, possibly even orchestrating the entire operation. To identify who, he needs access to confidential meeting notes buried inside the company's network. Because MI5 is now involved, Reese can't operate through official channels. Everything has to stay off the books. He tells Zara to abandon cards and use cash only, arranges a hotel room for her since her home is compromised, and asks for proof that she's fully committed. In return, Zara hands over the bloody fingerprint and explains how she lifted it. Reese leaves her for the night and sends the print to a trusted contact at the lab, stressing that secrecy is vital. But his own situation is deteriorating. His debts are closing in, and even his banking connections won't be able to save him much longer. Elsewhere, the thieves argue over what to do about Zara and the vial she left behind. During the dispute, it's revealed that Luke is still alive, though badly beaten. They drag him downstairs and show him footage of Zara inside their office, convinced he tipped her off. In reality, Luke had nothing to do with it, but no one is listening. Luke, however, isn't as helpless as they think. He notices cracks forming within the group, particularly with Morgan, who believes the operation has gone off the rails and wants out. The others want to push forward. Luke subtly exploits that division, trying to drive a wedge between them. Back at Lockmill, Reese meets with his superiors alongside Fitch. They reveal that the money sitting in the Gould Simmons account has been leaked to the press, sending shockwaves through multiple institutions. The leak appears to have come from Yoshida, and it's thrown everyone into damage control mode. Amid the chaos, Zara manages to talk her way back into her job at Lockmill. Once inside, she prints out sensitive passwords and returns later that night when the office is empty. She breaks into Cartwright's computer, but her search is interrupted when Milo and Myrtle arrive unexpectedly, clearly involved in an affair. Zara hides by the printer until they leave, narrowly avoiding detection. Going through the committee notes, Zara finds something troubling. One meeting includes a decision to shift large portions of assets into cash. She suspects someone deliberately manipulated the figures to exaggerate risk and justify the move. The trail narrows to two powerful names, Milo and Kate. Meanwhile, Reese, Yoshida, and Fitch travel to Sir Toby Gould's estate. Gould insists he has no idea how the stolen funds passed through his account and refuses to allow access to his records, citing Ministry of Defense documents and national security concerns. According to him, the money was moved out just 10 minutes after it arrived, taken by an unknown hacker. Yoshida doesn't buy it. He aggressively pressures Gould until he finally backs down. As they leave, Gould's accountant catches up with them and drops another bombshell. When the thieves emptied the account, they didn't just take the stolen funds. They drained Gould's personal fortune, too, £147 million. Later that night, Zara and Reese reconnect, and she shares what she's uncovered. She believes Kate is the true architect behind everything. As they discuss next steps, Reese carefully shifts the conversation. With his debts looming, he brings up the money Zara received from the thieves, flattering her and listing her strengths as they walk. When Zara learns that Reese has spoken to her mother, the trust between them fractures instantly. Furious, she storms off. Not long after, as Zara steps out to grab food, a man approaches and sits across from her, calmly issuing a threat. Zara quickly realizes he's MI5. She's escorted toward a taxi by men at a nearby table, and as she climbs inside, another man raises a gun on her. Next, we see Luke attempting to negotiate his way out of captivity. He appeals to Morgan, one of the thieves, revealing that he has £5 million and proposing they split it. When that fails, Luke pivots, suggesting Morgan take Zara's share instead. It would give Morgan revenge, and Luke offers his full cooperation to make it happen. At the same time, Zara finds herself cornered by MI5. They know she's been working alongside Reese and demand everything she's uncovered so far. The threat is blunt. Cooperate, or they can eliminate her without hesitation. Zara pushes back, proposing a deal of her own. She offers to identify the true mastermind inside Lockmill and hand that information directly to MI5. In return, she wants a clean slate, a new identity, and a way out of the country. MI5 listens. Their interest isn't just criminal. The stolen money could be tied to foreign actors, creating international instability. They intend to control the investigation, shape the narrative, and, if necessary, sacrifice Reese as a flawed and expendable lead investigator. Before letting Zara go, the MI5 handler plants doubt about Reese. She highlights his gambling addiction and suggests he may be manipulating Zara to get his hands on the money. Shaken, Zara goes to Reese and confronts him directly. Reese admits the truth. Gambling has him in its grip, but his job is the one thing anchoring him. Without it, he knows he'll spiral completely. He insists he's trying to stay afloat while fighting an addiction that's already cost him dearly. The confrontation softens, turning intimate, and the two end up spending the night together. The following morning, Reese receives a notification about a potential fingerprint match, but bigger news quickly overshadows it. The stolen funds have surfaced in an offshore account connected to a family trust established by the Chancellor, a revelation that shifts everything. Zara returns to Lockmill only to find herself under scrutiny. Her risk simulations have locked up the server, and she's informed that every simulation run is logged and time-stamped. The warning sparks an idea. Zara digs into the logs, cross-referencing them with the dates of investment committee meetings. The data points clearly to Milo, not Kate, as the person who ran the crucial report. Zara confronts Milo outright. Backed into a corner, he confesses. He admits recruiting Luke, who then brought Zara in. Milo insists he's not the architect behind the operation, just another piece on the board. He reveals he was offered £20 million for his role, far more than Luke or Zara ever saw, yet even he doesn't know who's really pulling the strings. He hands over a phone number given to him as an emergency contact if things collapsed. As Zara leaves, unease sets in. The thieves already had insiders positioned to verify trades, which makes it clear she was always meant to be expendable. Luke and Milo knew armed men would storm the office, but they didn't know the scale of the theft. Luke's visible breakdown at his desk convinced the thieves they had another pawn to exploit. The criminals had carefully profiled the staff, digging into personal histories. Zara stood out, unhappy, stuck in a dead-end role, drowning weekends in alcohol, and weighed down by family issues. She looked desperate enough to gamble on a crime to change her life. Elsewhere, Reese and Ellie track the thieves using the fingerprint lead, but they're too late. Luke makes his move when Morgan turns away, bolting across open fields. He doesn't get far. Zara meets the MI5 handler again and hands over Milo's phone number. In exchange, she's given a dossier detailing her new identity. She has 24 hours to leave the country. Miss the window, and she'll be flagged as a security threat and grounded indefinitely. The offer is tempting, a complete escape from everything. With that deadline looming, Zara calls her mother and agrees to meet. She brings the cold wallet, only to discover it's been corrupted and emptied. What her mother doesn't know is that Zara had already switched the wallets by accident earlier. Later alone, Zara checks her bag and finds the real wallet, the $5 million still intact. Reese immediately knows he's been burned. Sam Fitch is there and openly accuses him of colluding with Zara. Superintendent Duff Nichols moves quickly to suspend Reese on the spot. Zara tracks Reese down afterward and tries to explain, telling him she made a deal with MI5. She even offers to use the money to clear his debts. The offer disgusts him. To Reese, it feels like she's trying to buy his silence and erase him from the story. Zara begs him to stay quiet. With nothing left to lose, Reese agrees, reluctantly, not to expose her. They part on bitter terms. As Zara heads home to collect her suitcase and prepare to disappear, she turns a corner and freezes. Morgan is standing there with a gun. We see Zara and Luke both in immediate danger. Morgan demands that Zara hand over her cold wallet and its passcode, but she negotiates a new deal. Instead of giving him her wallet, she offers Milo's, loaded with £20 million. Morgan is tempted, but insists Zara leave her wallet behind and fetch Milo's herself. Luke is stunned to learn how much more Milo has than they do. At Milo's residence, he is also held at gunpoint and forced to provide the code to his safe and the cold wallet. He pockets some pepper spray as a backup plan, declaring he doesn't have the final codes. For that, they'll need to go to Lockmill. His attempt to use the spray and escape backfires, and he's stabbed in the chest, bleeding out. Under pressure, Luke reveals what he knows. Milo's codes are stored at the office. Meanwhile, Reese struggles to find leverage. He contacts Yoshida, who is unaware of Reese's suspension, while Ellie remains under heavy watch. Together, they coordinate a plan to access Milo and Cartwright's files at Lockmill. That night, Zara and Luke arrive at the office, with the rogue thief Morgan in tow. The situation escalates quickly when Morgan kills the security officer downstairs, leaving a trail of bodies. Despite handing over the code, Morgan appears ready to eliminate Luke, until Luke seizes the moment, fighting back and freeing Zara. He takes the cold wallet and the necessary codes for himself. Zara holds Morgan at gunpoint while Luke works to restore the electronics to call the police. Unaware of the full scenario, Reese arrives and knocks Luke out. Meanwhile, the other thieves realize the chaos and rush to Lockmill, triggering a massive firefight. Morgan regains consciousness, takes the gun from Zara, and targets Reese. With MI5 intercepting any calls, Reese warns they need to escape, but Morgan is relentless, systematically taking down the other thieves, while Zara creates distractions to shift the odds in their favor. During the battle, Reese is shot. Despite the injuries, Zara and Reese manage to slip away. Greed momentarily overcomes Zara, and she returns for the cold wallet, only to encounter Morgan, still armed and rampaging. Armed with only Reese's taser, she surprisingly gets the jump on him, repeatedly striking until he passes out. In the aftermath, Zara and Luke reconcile. Fitch and Ellie arrive to secure the scene, with MI5 now fully in control. The media reports Milo orchestrated the robbery and committed suicide out of guilt. Stolen funds routed through tax haven accounts implicated 32 high-profile figures, prompting the Prime Minister to announce a public inquiry into overseas tax avoidance. The £4 billion has been returned to Lockmill, and Luke is ready to walk away. Zara, however, is racked with guilt, blaming herself for the fallout. Zara confronts Reese about Morgan's last words, trying to pin responsibility on him. Reese dismisses it, pointing out that he's lost his job, house, and still struggles with debt. He couldn't orchestrate this. With the question of the mastermind lingering, Zara goes to Lockmill, discovering police investigating the returned funds. Reese joins her, revealing he has figured out the culprit, Darren Yoshida. Together, they confront him. The night of the shootout, Reese had arranged a meeting at the office with Darren, who never appeared, though the thieves did. Reese pieces together Darren's motives, disdain for the financial system, and a desire to expose the corruption of those benefiting through tax havens. Conversations with the superintendent confirmed Darren had rejected 2 prior cases just before the robbery, framing it as a calculated fireworks show rather than a whim. Darren admits to orchestrating the movement of funds, returning the pension money but retaining £10 million from the slush accounts on a separate cold wallet, seeing it as leverage to change the world. Zara and Reese decline his offer. Finally, Zara reveals the trump card she's kept, Milo's cold wallet. She plans to keep it for herself, anticipating police searches. With the immediate crisis resolved, Zara decides to walk away from Lockmill entirely, ready to embark on something new and exciting.